All right, hello. I think we will get things started. It's 1, we can start promptly, and anybody who comes in later can catch up. Shouldn't be a problem. So hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're very excited to be talking to Sandra Pulido Urrea from the Colombian Book Chamber about the Colombian book market. I am Gabrielle Echeverry. I'm the Communications Manager at Livre Canada Books, and I'm just here to provide a brief introduction, help a little bit with any technical issues you might be having, and to facilitate the Q&A session afterwards. So I hope you all have a lot of questions for Sandra once her presentation is done. The presentation should take about 60 minutes, and we've set aside time at the end for your questions. So usually about a half an hour if you want to have more questions. And of course, we provide contact information at the end of the webinar in case there are any questions you want to send directly later. But we'll have the Q&A session for about 30 minutes. And you can send any questions you might have in the Q&A panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and I will direct them to Sandra if she's unable to see them directly. So if you have any problems or questions relating to WebEx during the webinar itself, please message me via the chat function privately as your host. So without further ado, as most of you already know, Colombia is one of Latin America's most exciting emerging book markets, and we're delighted to be learning more about it today. And I'm pleased to introduce our presenter, Sandra Pulido Urrea, the Affairs Manager with the Colombian Book Chamber and Director of the Bogota International Book Fair, which is often referred to as FILBO, which is a great name for it. Sandra began working in the publishing industry at Grupo Editorial Norma as licensing editor, a position she held for 3 years. Then she worked at Tres Jotas Editores, initially as product manager and later as editorial director. She's also lived in Mexico, where she was the director of the Financial Education Expo and was responsible for its academic and cultural program. She returned to Colombia in 2016, where she began her current position at the Colombian Book Chamber. Welcome, Sandra, and thank you for joining us. I'll now turn over the mic to you so that we can get started.
Thank you, Gabriela, and thank you all to be here and to Livre Canada Books for the invitation. I really love to start getting closer with Canada, with the industry, because I think there's a huge opportunity for us, for both countries to get closer. So now I'm going to share my screen. Share. Just please let me know that some of you can let me know that you are seeing my. Gabriel, is it okay? Do you see the screen okay?
It looks great. It looks great for me.
Okay, so let's go. I'm gonna go. I'm a very fast talking person, so if I'm going too fast, please just let me know. Well, here is the content I'm going to share with you. First about Colombia, then about the cultural and creative industries, then about reading promotion in the country, the industry key figures on the market, the internationalization program, regulatory framework, and the exchanges I see, and what we found about Canada in Colombia, and then Colombia in Canada. I do hope you enjoyed the presentation and hope you have lots of questions for later. Colombia is situated in the northwest of South America. You see it there in red. Bogota is the capital and the largest city. We are around 8 million people, and 10 if you count the metropolitan area. Our official language is Spanish, and second language English, that is demanded in schools. The population of Colombia is 48 million people. and is the third most populous country in the region in Latin America after Brazil and Mexico. At the beginnings of the century, 20% of the population could not read or write, and then 90% the literacy rate went up by the end of the century. The last data that we have about reading index is 2.9, and we are still working. All the reading programs are heading to get that index up. About cultural and creative industries, I wanted to talk to you about this because I don't know if you heard this, but Bogota is like Athens in a cultural way speaking. I want to share with you this data that we have from Semana magazine, and that shows how much cultural and creative industries is the weight in the world, in the GDP in the world. It's 3% around the globe. For North America, you see here the numbers, for Europe, for Asia, and we want to focus that 29 million people around the world gets employees because of cultural and creative industries, and well, it's I think a big number, and it produces around $2.25 billion as a revenue annually. Then if we focus in Latin America, we see that it produces or offers almost 2 million jobs. It has $124,000 US in annual revenue, and it leaves 2.2% of the regional GDP. You can see here, compared to other countries in Latin America, the bigger one is Brazil, then Mexico, Argentina, and Colombia, with a small percentage of this. According to the Global Innovation Index study, Colombia is ranked number 20 out of 100 countries in exportation of cultural goods. And this is data from 2018. I think this is growing, and I will show you why. But before that, I want to share with you maybe another way to get closer to Colombian creative industries. I'm not focusing here on writers or editors or the editorial industry itself, but Colombian through culture. I think you might have heard Aterciopelados music. Is a rock band with very powerful lyrics. Maripaz Jaramillo, a plastic artist. Esteban Cortázar, a fashion designer. Doris Salcedo, a sculptor. I think you already should know about her maybe. Fernando Gaitán, a TV producer. Dago Garcia, filmmaker. La 33 is a salsa band. It's another way to get closer to other ways of getting to know Colombia through art and through culture. Let's go to Bogota for a moment. We have 56 theaters. We have the Ibero-American Theater Festival that like 10 to 15 years ago was the main cultural event, I could say, in the country, but also in the region. The last one had sorry, I always mix the numbers to name it in English. 3,400 visitors in the theater, well, in all over Bogota. We also have the BAM and the BOM. There are two festivals, one of Audiovisual Market and another one of Bogota Music Market. And it's giving a growth to Bogota and also to Colombia internationally. So we can exchange rights and movies and music, and Bogota is becoming a center of those meetings and those exchanges. We also have in arts 77 museums, a pre-Colombian contemporary art with pre-Colombian to contemporary art collections, 70 galleries, and Arbo, that is the most important art fair, that it has leave us with more galleries and a very wide net of galleries and cultural centers in the city. Let's go to literature a little bit, or to books. Bogota has a 24 public library network called bibliothèques. One of those is in a jail center. Bogota was book capital in 2007 by UNESCO. The city has over 1,500 events about literature, reading, book promotion through all the city. And of course, this year, this has become a virtual thing, but it is still happening. And we have the Bogota International Book Fair, that nowadays is the most important event in the city, in the country, and I would say one of the most important in the region. About reading promotion, Colombia's libraries has a very good coverage of libraries per municipality. As you see, we have 90% rate with municipality. We are almost in every municipality in Colombia, but we are not very good rate when it comes to inhabitants. So per 100 inhabitants, we are rated 2.8. So that's also a job we have to work on. And then in all Colombia, we have 1,450 public libraries in the country. That it's related to the good rate of per municipality. You see there with the yellow spots how many public libraries are in that department. And the government, the national government, has a national plan of reading and writing that is called Leer es mi cuento. It's like reading is my story. And it's the way with the Ministry of Education and Culture gets through all the country. And every department and every city also have a reading and writing developing program. I'm showing you here the Bogota one. It's not already like published because of the pandemic. On the 1st of January, the mayors took place, and she was developing everything, or their planning during the Bogota Book Fair in April and May. They were supposed to launch this new writing and reading developing program, but they already launched the name, that is Leer para la Vida, Reading for Life, and they are already having conversations online between writers. Or today, for example, the Secretary of Culture is going to talk with my boss, that is the president of the book chamber in Colombia, and they're studying this like approachings, and they're having, I think, the new program released for the end of the year. And I want to tell you something about it, because last month they did a very unique that I see they do. They invited kids to talk in a program at 7 p.m. And it was amazing. I think it's approaching in another way. They were discussing about readings, about books, about stories, and it was quite interesting to see in a city plan program developing, writing and reading program developing. Also, an interesting thing to show you is the net of book fairs that we have. 4 years ago, there was no net, and we were 6 book fairs by the end of 2016. We had a meeting, and we wanted to create like a congress of book fairs directors, and this led into having a net and a closer work between us. And nowadays we are 15 book fairs, plus the Bogota Book Fair, we would be 16 book fairs. And our voices are equally, and we help each other through whatever case we are needing into. We have a chat in WhatsApp, and if one needs, I don't know, an author contact or a company contact, well, we are there to help each other, well, all the time. We also have, and the book chamber organizes with the mayor's office in Bogota, 2 festivals by the end of the year. We are close to October. That is when we have the Children's Book Festival. I'm showing you some pictures of what we do through Bogota. We are having the festival in a virtual way this year. We are already with 150 events confirmed, and we have cultural and literary events, but also a professional meeting with librarians and with bookshops internationally and nationally, bookshops, and to see we explore and we take a focus on children's and young adults literature spaces, designs of spaces, and selections in the bookshops in Bogota. The main goal is to have children's and young adults books in the main tables of the bookshops and like in front of the conversations. And it's a 14 years old book festival. We have also an independent book festival. It's in November. This year is going to be its 3rd year. It has the main goal of the children and young adults, but with independent books. The independent sector in Colombia, the publishing independent industry is getting bigger, and it's very well known internationally for its quality. We're going to see a little bit more when we focus on the industry. On 2019, well, we have 17 events, well, 3 collection presentations, reading, poetry. This is more like a baby in the events. Today, in November, we're going to have the festival also in a virtual way, and we have added an international discussion in a program that is called Ruta Iberoamericana del Libro, with editors and booksellers from all Iberoamerica. Okay, so Bogota's book fair. It's a 33 years old book fair, and I first focus on the data we had from last year. It's a 9 million US retail sales book fair. We sell 900,000 books during the book fair, and the Bogota book fair, compared to other book fairs in the world, is like a big bookshop. It has 23 pavilions, 51,000 square meters venue, and it's mainly the people and the public and the audience and the readers who get together. And well, also we receive 600,000 visitors in 13 days. The 1st of May, that is the Crowder's Day, we receive 90,000 people. It's the plan for every people in the city almost to go. It's like the plan to go to the book fair the 1st of May, that it's holiday in Bogota. It's like a plan already. We had almost 2,000 events, and we have an international business center that it has 4 years old, that is called the International Business Center, with 114 tables, with people from 400 participants from 24 countries. And this is one of the opportunities we will discuss later. And 2 projects about Filbo that are quite special are Filbo Ciudad, that are all the events that we bring into other spaces of the city. That could be, of course, bookshops, of course, libraries, but also parks, markets like city markets, universities, schools. Like we want to make the city breathe, feelable, and it's something that happens. And the last 2 years, the past 2 years, we have been also bringing the program into the world, into the country. Sorry, soon into the world, but into the country. We held 10 events in cities like such as Medellin, Cali, Barranquilla, but also Quibdó, that is in El Chocó, a very forgotten city. Through to the country, to the governors. And today, well, this year with the pandemic, also we were forced, of course, to cancel the book fair. We went into lockdown, I think it was 3 weeks or so. It wasn't a month before the opening of the book fair. And it took us like a week to realize that we would have to still do something. We are partners with Corferias, that is the venue where we have the book fair. And we had a meeting and we saw what we could do to have La Filbo en Casa, Filbo from home. And we were able to have this book fair from home, and this is the result. We did 133 events, 200 authors, mainly nationally participated. We used most of the program that we have had confirmed, but we'd also changed the professional program to make the industry, both nationally and internationally from the region, see to think about ideas and ways of getting through this pandemic. And the result of this Filbo en Casa is that we reached 2 million people, more than 2 million. And I had to write an article for our university, and I saw last week the people reach, and we passed 2.5 million. So it's an interesting thing that we, as our organizers of book fairs, we weren't able of how many people you could reach, leaving also the content there. And it's quite interesting to see how it's getting, still getting and reaching people. Okay, let's talk about the industry in Colombia. Then this is the book chamber in a special city that has houses from 100 years. It has a very unique area. It was founded in 1951. Next year we're going to celebrate 70 years of the book chamber, and I think one of the most important strategies for the book chamber to growth has been the book fair, without doubt. That has the industry, it has made it wider and stronger and more diverse. Today we have around 100 members. We represent the interests of publishing houses, distributors, and bookstores compared to other countries in Latin America. They have associations of editors, of bookshops. Separately, we here have the representations of all, not only the ACLI, that is the Independent Bookstores Association, but also with the editorials from the universities, the publishing houses from the universities, also in the independent ones. And we have the associations as members, and we have these committees where we are open to anyone that want to come and hear what our plans are. We hear all the voices here, and then we try to make programs for better for the industry. In the book chamber, we also support promotions and reading activities, such as book fairs in other cities of the country, as I told you, with the net that we have, but also we are in charge of representing the industry overseas in many international book fairs. We work with the government sometimes to bring the Colombia and the industry to book fairs such as Frankfurt, Bologna, and Guadalajara. Those are our mainly book fairs to attend. And you will see how we present ourselves there in a while. We also invest in programs with both the governments, the locally, the Bogotá's one, and also the Colombia one. When we see that there's an opportunity to invest in them in the industry, I don't think I have here, but one of the things that the pandemic gave us or showed us, it was that the industry wasn't prepared to work digitally. I have in my mind that in Canada, maybe it's more updated, but I think 3% of the bookshops here in Colombia weren't selling through e-commerce, and we were able to ask and convince both the national and the Bogotá's government to invest in a modernization of the Colombian industry. It's a project we are working on. And by the end of the year, we would have 100 members like updated, and the bookshops with e-commerce. And it was an investment that the book fair did with these two governments. And we are the main organizer of Filbo in association, as I told you, with Corferias, that is the venue where we held. How is the publishing landscape in Colombia? We have about 100 commercial publishing houses, between small, medium, and big ones, about 150 university publishing houses, and for you to know, the largest publishing houses in Colombia is Penguin Random House, Grupo Planeta, that you might note that these are well, mainly from Spain, but also other countries, Germany and other source of resources. Panamericana is the biggest one in Colombia from nationally speaking. Their editors, their bookshops also, but in the bookshop you can find many other supplies. And Editorial Norma, that I think you might have heard about Norma, that it was 10 years ago, I think, the biggest publishing house in Latin America. And the Carvajal family sold Editorial Norma, and now Norma is working with the owners from Spain, the money from Spain. And then we have also SM, Grupo Editorial Educar, Lo que Leo, that is Antillana, and Babel, that is a very well-known publishing house, also is a distributor from titles of children's literature, and has a bookshop for children's. And you will see later, Babel has won a few awards in the world. Let's focus a little bit of children's and young adults publishing houses. We have 59 publishers of children's book recognized, and we have different profiles. Some are the transnational model, as we saw a few moments ago, that has children's line, or we have independent publishers, or digital publishers, or specialized publishers, and the small ones. We have a reader's plan in Colombia. I don't know if you had that. I guess you do in Canada. But the publishing houses deal directly with the schools, and they have this huge structure of publications for children and for students at school. with some levels, different levels and categories. We in Colombia learned to read with Torre de Papel, for example, that it was a collection from Norma between some other ones. I think I had here, I just received the 30 years publication in honor to this collection. And the professionalization of the sector has been getting more solid, both editors, authors, but also illustrators, designers, translators are seeing the light through its works. The academic publishing industry is also very important in Colombia, not only in the publishing industry, but for example, also at Filbo. They have completed a pavilion that is the 3.2 with, I would say, the best exhibition quality, not only with the stands, but with the books. They have an association that it's called in Colombia Avec, and it has 67 members, all universities. And Avec, it has in other countries is Reun, Reu, Paveu, from other countries of Latin America. And they all are members of EULAC, that it's the net for Latin Americans academic publishers. They're always talking about the importance of the flow of knowledge and cultural exchange. That is their main goal. They have an advantage of co-editing and publishing rights. They have bilateral purchases. They prepare forums or academic publishing forums, and where they talk about challenge of training and education university press editors. We have actually in Filbo, we have one forum about the university book forum, 1 year in Bogota and 1 year in Guadalajara, and mainly we work with EULAC and its members. So we have a very close conversation between these editors and countries. They have some digital and print channels, such as Amazon Kindle Shop, Amazon United States, Amazon Spain, El Corte Inglés, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, Kiando, Plus White Label Shop, Central Library, EBL, eBook Library, Every, Vasco, etc. And libraries such as Odilo, Dawsonera, 24 Symbols, Central Library, well, just to name a few. We will have this presentation to check later. At the independent publishing focus, as I told you, it's getting richer and wider. The independent book festival in November has given us more data and information of the publisher. Sometimes it can be a person that publishes just one book per year, or the ones that are already even members of the book chamber. And we found approximately 100 publishers in the last survey that it was last year in November for the festival. And for this festival, we're going to release a catalog, but this number is not okay. We found 3,500 or so titles alive in the market. And the name of that catalog is Leo Independiente, Reading Independent, and goes through all the topics you might find. And we are working the festival inspired on that catalog. And Colombia was going to be guest of honor in Madrid this year. We are still having for this November some activities to exchange between professionals, editors, and booksellers, but also with authors and readers. So yeah, we are still working in interesting activities with specifically Madrid. We're going to have exchange Madrid-Bogota. The bookshop landscape, about 300 bookshops, one bookshop every 1,600 inhabitants. That it's quite bad, quite bad. And this is something we are trying to work on as a book chamber, and then with the government. It's an urgent matter that we have to work and to invest in. About 100 are independent all over the country. 150 are religious, and about 20 are from universities. And the largest chains are Panamericana and Librería Nacional. As I told you, Panamericana sells some more things other than books. I think books would be maybe 10 to 15% of what they have. But they started as a bookshop in Colombia. And Librería Nacional, that is the biggest one. Publishing production. Let me move this a little bit. So with the information that we also at the Book Chamber represent the ISBN agency. And here you have the 10 years information. For 2019, we had almost 2 million of titles registered. And the percentage about digital and printing format is 72 versus 26. And we have an increase, we increased the number in almost 5% of production registrations. In book sales, in 2018, we reached an amount of almost 800,000 million Colombian pesos, with a growth of 2.5% compared to 2017. We are still finishing the statistics for 2019, so that's why I'm sharing with you 2017 versus 2018. And around 5% of these sales are in ebooks. You can see here what portion of the market is textbooks, general interest, technical and scientific, and religions. I just name it from the bigger to the smallest one. This percentage of distribution. Digital and audiobook sales are less than 3%, and we are changing the survey and the questions that we asked, because we weren't even measuring this in Colombia, so we're not we don't have a data to make to compare. We are just starting this year to ask this. The commercial balance, the foreign trade, show us that the export in FOB in 2019 was $38 million US dollar versus the import that is 59 almost million. So well, that means that we are importing quite more than exporting. This is I wanted to show you this slide. As I told you, we are asking new things in the ISBN agency, and I show you this is the result of what we received in August as requested ISBNs. So 3% were natural person, 81% were juridical person, and 16% was self-publishing. This is the ISBN requested by agent, just the month of August 2020. Then ISBN requested marketable and not marketable. Marketable was almost 80% versus 20% of not marketable. and ISBN requested by sector. So we see that general interest is the biggest one, then technical, scientific, and academic, then didactics, then children's and young adults that we're starting to see it when we get closer, and 2% religious. To show you our main countries with exports and imports, the numbers are in US dollars. First of all is Peru with 9 million, Ecuador with 5.5, Mexico with 4, United States with 5, Panama with 3.5. And the countries we import from, Spain, it might not be as represented, and we will talk about this later. United States, 11, China, 7, Mexico, 5, almost 6, and United Kingdom, almost 4. The internationalization of the industry. I go back to the Bogota's book fair. I think we can show, you can see this picture was from last year. Actually, the building you have on your left is a new Hilton hotel that improved quite a lot. All the work during the Bogota Book Fair and having everything so close to it, it was quite good. So this is not like a 1st of May how it would see, because a 1st of May you would see this like full of people. But well, this is Filbo. And I talk about Filbo because as an internalization project, it's quite important, specific with the goals that we have set the 4 years, the past 4 years. One of these projects are the International Professional Business Center. 5 years ago, the book fair had a right center and a professional center for just selling books. And we decided to bring this together, and because of course we in Colombia and the way it works in the market, someone that could buy you a right also could buy you a book. Spanish is a language that is all over here, very close, and it was for like the past 50 years, the book selling, mostly it was printing. Colombia used to sell a lot of printing, so the numbers of exportation were like huge, like 20 years before. And that has changed the face of the industry and how the government, for example, ProColombia understands us. No, they still want us to reach export one title, that it was the Bible, 1,000 copies. 1,000, yeah, 100,000 copies. It was some very crazy, and well, we don't have those numbers now, and it was just printing. So the business, the International Professional Business Center has allowed us to show the industry to the world, to the agents in the world. We have this fellowship program where we invite agents, editors, scouts, translators from all over the world to get closer to Colombian publishers. We give them an experience of the city so they could go to visit libraries, bookshops, touristic places. But the main goal in these 4 years has been to bring the people who take big decisions in the industry to get to know Colombian and the Latin American industry. We prepare for when we go to international book fairs a catalog. For the festival in October, we are updating our catalog, and it will be available both in Spanish and English. So I will share with you that catalog. And the second one you see there is the one we bring to Frankfurt. And the third one is a catalog we have created for 2 years, the past 2 years, with a program grant of translation of translations that released the Ministry of Culture and the National Library, National Public Library. For this year, actually today I received the email where we are opening this project. We invest as the book chamber when we get together as a partner of the government. We propose to have the grants such as the program that has Argentina, that is just like money in a bag, and editors just ask for a grant that has to have a few requests, but mainly is not a selection as we used to do with these catalogs, but this is the catalogs that are available right now, and you could get closer and you could get to know the publishing houses. That this catalog has a profile of the publishing houses in Colombia. Maybe I can show you later as soon as we finish this presentation. Because it gets you an idea of the publishing industry in Colombia, with the titles that were like running into, that were able to receive the grant if you translate those titles. So maybe in 15 days we have a clear mind of how it's going to work by the end of the year. This is us, Colombia, in international book fairs. It's the second year, in 2019 was the second year where we have a unique stand in Bologna. It was gained by all the publishing houses in Colombia that did an amazing job going year per year to Bologna. And this is the stand. 9 publishing houses received help from the book chamber, and they went to Bologna last year, and this is the space where they were having meetings. This is our stand in Frankfurt. We go as a partner also with the universities. They used to have their own stand, but for the past 4 years we came together, and it was better for all of us to have just one Colombian to work together. And this is us. I think some of you might have seen us in Frankfurt. This was Colombia last year, quite a crowd. Actually, on the other side of the picture that you see on your left, it was the universities that I show you on Frankfurt that we were together. So Colombia had a quite big participation, and still have, in Guadalajara, and not only as the stands or the exhibition, but also in the program. And for Colombia, it's quite important, the Guadalajara's book fair, and we prepare quite good to have this presentation. I think it was very well known, and it was like the participation of Colombia. We bring a bookshop. It's a new project for the past 2 years with the bookshops, with the Bookshop Association, with the Independent Colombian Bookshop Association. We bring this bookshop because not all the exhibitors that are in the stand really show all the production that Colombia has, because there are already many publishing houses all over the Guadalajara's book fair, both in the national and the international pavilion. So we wanted to have a complete window to show the international public what Colombia is through books. And for the past 2 years, we have had a cocktail. I hope on next Guadalajara book fair you can come and get closer, and maybe we can I don't know, figure out a few other things to get closer with you as an industry. Because yeah, we had a breakfast with South Korea, for example, with the members of the association in South Korea and with Colombia to start getting closer the industries. We were guest of honor in Lima in 2016. We were guest of honor in Panama 2017. We were guest of honor as the Lions of the Pacific in Philly, in Ciudad de Mexico. International recognitions of Colombia. Maybe you have heard that Juan Gabriel Vázquez was nominated as for the Man Booker International Prize. Evelio Rosero on 2009 won the Independent Foreign Fiction Prize. Juan Felipe Córdoba won in 2019 in Filoni, that it's a university fair in Ciudad de Mexico. He won the Best Ibero-American University Editor Rubén Bonifaz Nuño Award. Maria Osorio, that is who owns Babel, that I show you, she won the Mérito Editorial Award in Guadalajara's Book Fair in 2018. In Bologna, the New Horizons Award, the publishing house Tragaluz won it in 2015, Naranjo Editores in 2014, and Babel in 2017. Also in that year, Babel Libros, is the same Maria Osorio I'm talking you about, won the Bob Prize in Bologna. She won both prizes, both awards. And this year, Hector Abad Faciolince was named as a long-listed in the Dublin Literary Award. Okay, competitive advantage of the Colombian industry. Well, the quality and the relevance of the content, authors, editors, illustrators, translators. I think Colombia has changed its face, and it has a very professional industry, very professional content, with a variety of content that could open many doors to start a relation. Well, we move in the Pacific Alliance. We are member also of Mercosur, and the Andean region. So we get closer with these countries because of these alliances. We have this translation scholarship program in Colombia where you can apply for grants to translations. We have competitive prices. And the modernization of the publishing sector that I was telling you about, I think for next year, this is going to change or improve all the work in all the change, the productive change of the industry. The regulatory framework. In Colombia, we have a book law. That book law, and then I'm going to talk about it. Then we are working on a fixed book price project. And I have to notice that there's no free trade agreement between Canada and Colombia for books or cultural related material. The Colombian book law grants privileges to the publishing industry and books, and the change of production. Promotes reading and institution supports to Bogota International Book Fair. That's in the law. The Ministry of Culture and Education should invest and promote and support economically the International Book Fair. So it's a way to protect the sustainability of the book fair. We have IVA exemption. The IVA in Colombia, it's 19%. And that exception goes on paper books, ebooks, digital and audiobooks, but also the chain production. So if you give the ISBN to a printing company and you are producing or printing the book, you will be not charged with IVA. Well, give us lower import and export duties. It has a lower import and export duties and a lower tax rate for annual income tax to companies also. Okay, Canada and Colombia. Well, we try to look with the data that we have. Maybe we we found another titles, but this is what we had or what I found. For now, we have 5 Colombian publishers publishing directly from Canadians. And here are the covers of this production. I'm going to share it with you in a moment. Just let you enjoy the covers. So these 5 publishing, the editors that published this was Sílaba Editores from Medellin, Villegas Editores from Bogotá, Norma from Bogotá, Ediciones Unidades, that is the university one, is the one here that says Red Duck, the Carson one. And Luna Libros, that is poetry. These are the 5 publishing houses that have had produced or published directly from Canada. Look the dates, no? In 2015, 2019, 2020, 2018. And then this is quite of course, you have names, but these names doesn't arrive directly for a publishing house. Of course, is just what we find in the market with a big publishing house such as Penguin Random House or Planeta. And this is what it is in the market right now. And Colombia in Canada, I found this list. We were happy to see a few publishing houses taking the chances with Colombian publishers, and here are some of the covers. And just to name the publishing houses: HarperCollins, Nov Doubleday Publishing, Mosaic Press, Lugar Común, and House of Ainsi. And these are some of the covers. And publishers that applied for grants. This is the information we received from the Canada Council for the Arts. These are the ones in Colombia that have had asked for help translations. That it has to be, it's related, Norma and Sílaba for the publisher, for the titles that we saw. Okay, the opportunities that I think we could start to look to have together. The first one is a virtual matchmaking. I think that after this presentation, we can start getting closer, and if you are interested in both buying and selling, well, let's try to find a matchmaking between our industry. This could happen virtually. This could happen in a book fair such as Guadalajara, such as Frankfurt, or such as Bogota, ideally. The second is visit Filbo. You can apply for the fellowship program. I think there's nothing replace the visit of a market. And I think Canada and Colombia, we have such many opportunities because our relation is mainly directed through Spain. So I think there are a lot of opportunities to make things together because we receive, I don't know, 20-30% of what Spain has. So there's a lot of things that we don't get to know, we don't get to read. So there's a big opportunity. Of course, participation as a country, like an exhibitor, as a country in Filbo. And our goal one day is to have a Canada's guest of honor in our book fair. We invite you to have a direct relation with our editors, sell directly to the indies, and also to our bookshops directly. I see there's a huge opportunity to have books in English and French, mostly in English. We have just 3 bookshops that sell books in English that they're very short. I mean, the market is quite big. The needs are very big because, as I told you, English is demanded in schools, also in universities. So we have a lack of books in English and also in French. There's just so little. Explore opportunities co-editing in Spanish in Canada, French, English in Colombia. And of course, promote the visit of Canadian authors in Colombia. There's something we could do directly to see which authors should come to Colombia, but the idea is to have their books in Spanish in the market, so we can take advantage of that invitation and the visit of this author. Because actually it has been quite timid, I think, the participation since I arrived. I tell Gabriel and Francois that I used to live in Montreal when I was a student, when I finished high school. So I wanted to approach more to Canada. I think there's huge opportunities in the way you think, in the way you approach to ideas. I think there's a lot of opportunity to exchange your values, your points of view of the world, of peace, of sustainability, of immigration. I mean, there's a lot of things to do, to think together, and to start a conversation through authors, through books, and to get closer. Conclusions: Canadian authors or content arise primarily from Spain. There is no direct relation between the industries to promote right exchange. And I don't think the solution is to find an agent. I think because there's not an agent specified on Colombia, I think you should get closer to the industry, visit itself, and then maybe find an agent, but the agent is going to offer so many authors from over the world. I think that for Colombia at this moment, there's nothing better than the direct relation. As I was telling you before, there's not enough books in English or French in the Colombian market, and Canadian publishers could fill that gap. You know, I mean, I'm specifying here French publications, but both English and French, I think there's a huge opportunity. And even to participate in the book fair, because during Bogota's book fair, there's just one booth with books in English not French at all. So there's a huge opportunity. And Canadian vision and publication could add value to Colombian society. That was my goal to say and to express before. For me, living in Canada, make my world wider and bigger, and find people from around the world and learn the values from Canada. Well, I personally think it may be a better person, and I think it could get us closer as societies, to bring diplomatic relationship closer. Also, that could be related through culture and through books and through literature. And so Canada could also have an idea of Colombia through its writers, through its publishers, through its booksellers, and all the stories that we have to tell about. I think that's it. Now it's question and answer time.
Great. Thank you so much, Sandra. I'm just going to make sure I have everything I need here. We have a few questions here, so I'll get started with that.
Okay.
And so the first one, and I'll just read this directly from the Q&A panel, but I believe you've already addressed this a little bit in your presentation. And the question is: I sell rights, so my interest lies in licensing. I'm curious to see the growth in sales from the UK, which implies English imports. Is this an area where Canadian books would find interest? And so, as I said, you addressed this already but maybe could you expand a little bit more on how, what kind of titles do you think might be more interest? Are they more educational titles or trade fiction, or children's, or a little bit of everything?
I don't have the data to confirm right now. I could check and then we can update this information, but I think it's more educational ones. As I told you before, there's a lack of book in English, and I meant like in general interest in the bookshops and yeah. So and from the United States, we would also have to see, because the next country is the United States. So what we are receiving, we can take a look, but I think it's more didactic and educational format.
Okay, great. Thank you. I have another question here. It says, thanks for all this information. Can you talk a little bit more about the 3 bookshops you mentioned that sell books in English?
Well, we, for this year, actually, I looked for them. They're not members of the book chamber. They're one called Authors, another one called Books and Books. And the other one, it's a member that brings, for example, books from Tachen, and he brings titles, like 80% of the titles are in Spanish, but he has some in English. So I can share the experience as a reader. We haven't had entering contact with them to start working together. We are in that process, but you find mainly some literature, texts and books for children, but in a very small quantity. And yeah, we are in doubt on talking to them. We were having an opportunity with the US net of bookshops to bring the US book into Filbo. And I started a conversation, but then the pandemic arrived and we stopped that conversation. But there's a way to explore these 2 bookshops. There's just 2 and are just 2 places. No, it's not like one bookshop with 3 venues. No, it's just 2. So
Okay, thank you. I have another question here. This is, I think, more of a sort of a more timely question. Do you have a sense of who will be some of the major players in your market and what future opportunities will be available post-COVID-19?
Some of the major players as publishing houses?
Yes. That's
well, definitely the independent ones are the one taking risks. But for them, it's important to, of course, build a relationship. And maybe in November we can have an opportunity because of the festival. And actually, we are having as Filbo, we're going to promote a business exchange online, of course, a virtual one. So this could be the first step to get to know them, the independent ones.
Mm-hmm.
Because with the big chains such as Penguin and Planeta, when they decide to publish, they decide about Colombian authors, not internationally, and then the editorial directors decide why to bring from Spain mainly. But even that they have the biggest names, like bestsellers and everything, we don't have those in English. I mean, it's maybe in Books and Books and in Authors you can find, I don't know, maybe Margaret Atwood, but there's an opportunity there also with bookshops directly if you maybe sell to bookshops, and I think there's a big opportunity there too.
Okay, great. That's a good lead into the 2 next questions. One is of the three book chains mentioned, are Penguin Random House, or book chain, yes, Planeta and Panamericana, and Norma. I guess that's four. Are they all around the same size in Colombia at this point?
No. Maybe Planeta and Penguin Random House, yes. Planeta, it's a little bit bigger in numbers of selling. Penguin Random House has more literary image, has most of the literary authors from Colombia. But yeah, they're like both in that, like the same level. Panamericana might be like maybe 30% less as a publishing houses and as a even well, the bookshop is not measured there, but as a publishing house. And but you have to see that, for example, with Panamericana, they own the bookshop, no, and they decide what kind of books they sell in that bookshop, and of course, mainly are their books. And well, Norma has also texts and text. I mean, if I show you the list, textbooks would be very big compared to Penguin Random House and Panamericana. So if we focus on Norma in books that are not text, is half of Penguin or Planeta, even less. But if you add the text quantity, it would be bigger.
Okay, great, thank you. And I have a question specifically about children's publishing. It's about when, at which age do children start learning English in schools?
For example, my nephew is 6 years old, and her school it's demanding to learn in English. So this happens in private schools, like maybe 50% of the private schools that are bilingual, and this would mean that they not also have to learn English as a language, but also they learn other matters in English. I don't know, such as math or science. Public schools are also learning, and they demand English, just the class of English to learn the language. Every school have to give English, but there's a portion of those private schools that, of course, people that has the opportunity to inscribe the kids there, well, they have to learn since they're little, since they're 5 years old, 6 years old, they get into school, they're surrounded by English.
Okay, so there are lots of opportunities potentially for children's publishers work in Colombia.
Yes.
If they're, yes, specifically. Okay, that's great. I have one more question, unless anybody wants to jump in and ask this question. It's more about distribution. So I think we have amongst our participants here today a mix of people who have very little information or knowledge of the Colombian book market, and people who already have contacts and have started distributing books or signing sort of licensing deals with publishers in Colombia. And these sort of more experienced exporters have asked specifically questions about distribution. So what are some of the best ways so for publishers who are already creating books in Spanish here in Canada, what are some of the best ways of distributing those books in Colombia? And then for those of people who have sort of distributing deals, say with Ingram, to distribute their books in English, is that still the best way to go, working with a distributor such as Ingram, or do you recommend something sort of more direct relationship?
I still have to say that it's better to build a direct relation. As I told you, the opportunity is there. We have just two bookshops in English, and those bookshops have also book in French too, but there's so little. But you could come here and even, I don't know, I'm thinking out loud, no? But working with the embassy, the Canadian embassy in Colombia, to promote Canadian literature and authors through the net of bookshops. Why not libraries to set? We have this program in Colombia that is called Librería Colombia Library, to set our point of sale of books, not only as a market but also as a cultural flow of books. So because we don't have so many distributors in Colombia, as you saw, our members are not that big, 100 members, and 10% of those are distributors. But without doubt, you can have maybe in November, try to see who is there. Maybe we can try to find how to make with some of you, to see the profiles and to try to match with some Colombian companies. But I think it would be best to do that directly, to make the follow-up, to visit. I think the market is growing. Of course, general interest in Colombia so far has the best numbers recovering COVID. So I think, and all this modernization program that I told you about, so the bookshops are open to sell directly. Well, you could find direct ways to work with the bookshops. I think that when it comes to negotiate, it's in terms of giving and receiving and find a way to meet. But I should recommend that you look for this directly.
Okay, great. And there's again a question about the Children's Book Festival. Is that a good place to make those kind of meetings as well? So will it feature and invite international houses? Are there ways to make direct sales to the public at the Children's Festival? Are those components of that festival, and I suppose any of the other festivals you've highlighted today?
Now we are thinking on a way of bringing books and selling books through the events, through the bookshops. The only way, as we are the book chamber, we try to respect the change, the production change, to respect the job that the editors do, the distributors do, and the ones that the booksellers do, and we try to make the industry respect that change of value. For La Filba en Casa, for example, we tried to have joint ventures with the bookshops so they could sell virtually. When the festival happened last year, the Children's Festival, it happened in the bookshops and in libraries. So our main goal was to bring new people to the bookshops where the books were selling, and we used to do a closure of the festival in a park, and we used to have like the participation of 4 bookshops, but the sellings were any significant. But as a festival, we are promoting reading, getting closer to authors, to publishing houses. We are bringing books to people. As a book chamber, we are trying to convert that in sellings, but it's a path that we walk. And the independent one is even smaller. We also held this festival in bookshop specifically. It's very small compared to the Children's Festival. And as you see, well, one has 3 years old and the other one has 14 years old. Children's and young adults is more solid, well known in the city. And this year, what you could see, we could share with with Gabriel the program, and maybe you could check as soon next week. We're going to have the press conference to release the program, so you could have an idea what we're going to have. Also to check, I recommend you to check the Reading Colombia site. I'm going to look for it right now, because there you could see the profiles of all the publishing houses. And I already lost the question. I'm sorry. I started talking about many things. What was the question? Did I answer the question? Sorry.
I believe you. The question is about the Children's Festival and the opportunity for selling books there. So I think it's good. And then one final question on children's books for you. Would there be interest in bilingual or trilingual books for like English, French, and Spanish, or French and Spanish, English and Spanish?
Again, if we are interested in having two languages, I didn't hear well the question. Could you repeat it, please?
Sorry, yes. It's would there be interest, do you think, amongst Colombian publishers in bilingual editions or trilingual editions?
Yeah, I think there's, I don't know in Colombia, the first trilingual edition. I don't know it yet. So, well, yeah, I just know one, but it's about selling Bogota and I don't know, it's city tourism, books publishing house that says like hardcover books, and their odds are two bilingual and trilingual the past 2 years. But as I say, it's books about cities, but overall there's nothing.
Okay.
And because they're thinking in selling books as a gift, they're thinking in the foreign people, they're not thinking in Colombians market.
I see. So it's more for tourism, for people who go to Colombia as tourists rather than Colombian readers themselves.
What this publishing house is betting for, yes, but I mean that the opportunity is here in the local market.
Yeah, no, that's a really good distinction to make. Okay, thank you. I'm going to just now switch over and share my screen for a moment. Hopefully this will work as planned. And just to go back to our presentation, just to finish things off. If any of you would like to follow up on any of these questions, I urge you to contact Sandra or either any one of us at, well, not any one of us, either myself at Livre Books, François Charette, or Christy Doucette, if you'd like to find out more about this market. I also would like to highlight I think Sandra already did so in her presentation. I mentioned the Canadian Embassy in Colombia, but they are ready and able to assist any publishers who are looking for more information on this market also, and would be good partners to look to for information on the ground as well. And you know, as Sandra pointed out, some of you may have already noticed we at Livre Books are doing more sort of online matchmaking activities because of COVID and our inability to travel and have these physical meetings that are really so key. I think, Sandra, you really have highlighted that importance again of the face-to-face contact, or at least that contact and meeting people directly. So if there's enough interest, if people and Sandra, you seem quite interested also, you know, reach out to us about the possibility of matchmaking sessions. We're certainly open to helping in any way we can. I hope I haven't committed you to anything that you weren't ready to start yourself. For the but for you know, if any of you who would like a copy of this presentation, please contact me and I'll be happy to send you a version. And we will also have a recording of the webinar up on the website hopefully next week, but we'll let you all know when it's available for viewing. So I will I think end now. And thank all of you very much for joining us today. Thank you so much, Sandra, for your great analysis and all this great information that you've shared with us. And I'd like to thank also, of course, the Government of Canada through the Canada Book Fund, who has funded this event and made this possible today. So if you guys get a chance on your way out, you should be directed to an online evaluation. We'd really like to know your thoughts. We really appreciate your feedback always. All right, thank you, gracias a todos y a todas, and we'll hopefully see you soon, Sandra.
Thank you to the Government of Canada as well. Thank you all for being here. I just sent you the link to Reading Colombia, so you can have a profile of the publishing houses. I'm open here to share with you and to find some ways to get closer. I will send to Gabriel all the information about the networking session. The business meeting that we're going to have in November is from the 17th to the 20th of November. We will have translators there if some of the Colombian publishers don't speak English, or the publishing houses, so we can work this out if you're interested in getting closer to our industry.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Sandra. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thank you, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.